Hey, what is up, guys? As we continue our update 1.20 money guide week, I thought I'd find another car that's kind of one of my personal favorites, and I don't think I've ever seen anyone run it before. Now, it's actually a very, very good car. I think most people don't even know this car exists, but in terms of where it runs and how it runs, the main advantage of this build is the absolute sheer grip and acceleration this car has. Plus, it's probably one of the better looking cars in the whole game. Okay, so the car we are getting is a Honda, but it's not. So, okay, right. It's not in the Honda dealership. You actually need to go over to Asia and go into the powerhouse Amuse dealership, and it's the Amuse S2000 GT1 Turbo. Go ahead and pick it up for 250,000 credits. We are going to have to detune this build. However, it doesn't really kind of change the standard characteristics of the car, which is extreme grip and extreme acceleration. We are going to need the racing hard tires as well as both the intermediates and heavy wets due to weather changes. So body height at the front is 105 and at the rear is 105. Anti-roll bar 4 at the front, 4 at the rear. Damping ratio compression 30 front, 30 rear. Damping ratio expansion 40 front, 40 rear. Natural frequencies 2.85 front and 2.90 rear. Negative camber angle 2.5 and 2.5. Toe angle at the front is 0 and at the rear is 0.20, and it's going to be pointing inwards. On the differential side, it comes fully customizable as standard, so it's initial torque 5, acceleration sensitivity 25, braking sensitivity 30. We are not changing the transmission on this one. We've got a power restrictor, however we are not restricting power. Ballast positioning is -5 and the ballast is 11. ECU is fully customizable with an output of 98. Downforce at the front is minimum, so it's 250, and at the rear it's maximum, which is 550. The rest of it does not need changing, so a very straightforward and easy tune this one. Feel free to pause at any moment that you may need to. So in terms of running this strategy, you want to set the power straight to lean at fuel mix 6. In terms of power, you are going to be slightly faster than the Group 4s. However, you're going to make most of your time up through the very fast corners. The grip on this thing is absolutely insane. So all this aero is fully functional, and it's really going to help you out, especially in the early stages. The main thing you're going to want to watch out for is your clean race bonus. So if you see a yellow flag, just back off a little bit. However, that is the only way you can lose it. You can bump the cars, all that good stuff. It will not affect your clean race bonus. However, since update 1.20 came along, damage has been very much increased. So I do recommend trying to steer away from running into the back of any of the cars, because it really does kind of upset the feeling, the speed and everything in terms of the car. So in terms of fuel consumption, it's not the best. It's pretty standard for a road car. You'll get around about 2 laps in a lean fuel mix, around about just over 1 if you are going maximum power. So I fully recommend just keeping it in fuel mix 6, and that is going to basically do you to the end. There's no messing around with, you know, mixers or anything like that. In terms of pace, you are still going to be faster than the Group 4s. Maybe not as fast as some of the other cars. You're not going to be hitting like ridiculous speeds of 190 while running fuel mix 6, but it doesn't really matter. It's a pretty straightforward event, and you can guarantee by the end of the first lap you're going to be leading by probably around about 5 to 10 seconds. So straightforward and easy. As you can see, we're already pulling away from the Group 4s. The main advantage, like I said, is the grip and the acceleration. So this thing really can fly through the corners, and it will absolutely fly out of them. In terms of difficulty, it's completely up to you. I personally just put it on easy purely because I'm grinding money. I'm not bothered about a challenge. If I want a challenge, I'll go ahead and set up custom races, but that's just my personal opinion. I know loads of people seem to get kind of angsty about running it on easy, but look, if I'm here to grind money, I don't want a silly mistake to do, you know, maybe with the weather or something, to cost me 30 minutes of my life. You know, time is precious and all that, so I do recommend running it on easy. As we get to the bottom of the straight, you can see we're about to overtake a bunch of other cars. They're in quite a tight group here, so I've not very often seen them running like this. We're going to get up the inside of the Suzuki and go ahead and overtake him, and before long we are basically going to be up and in the lead of the race. So as you can see, a few corners later, just up the straight that we were on, we are going to take the lead and not really have to look back too much. We are going to do another lap. As you can see, we've got massive acceleration compared to the Group 4s out of the corners. So one more lap to go before our first pit stop. As you get onto lap 2, I fully recommend just monitoring the weather radar. This is because the weather at Le Mans is very much variable. Sometimes it'll rain, sometimes it won't, sometimes it'll rain like late on. That's why obviously early on I'll tell you just how much fuel you're going to get out of the car, so you don't have to focus on that too much. So I'm going to speed this clip up. But lap 2, we're going to go for our first pit stop. Tyre weight isn't too bad, but I am going to just put on new tyres each time we pit. Obviously, I'm going to refill the car to full. Once we leave the pits, we're obviously going to keep the car in its lean fuel mix. This is to be able to do another 2 laps. As I came out the pits though, there was quite a bit of rain coming. However, it was very kind of broken up, so it didn't wet the track too much. So with the raining coming, don't always panic straight away, because most of the time it'll be quite broken up early on. As you can see, the rain's starting to come in now. If it is really kind of patchy and sort of broken up, it won't wet the track too much. It's sort of, if it's all together or it's kind of like, you know, dark blue, then you may need to just think about switching onto inters and that. At first I really did kind of panic, thinking, you know, I've done a really bad strategy call here. But in the end it wasn't too bad. So I'm speeding it up just so you can see how the weather moves in. So just always monitor that. In terms of the lead, we're going to re-inherit that pretty easily. As soon as the other cars pit, we're going to start stretching our legs and increase our lead to about 40 odd seconds. At the end of lap 4, we are going to box in for a second time, and again we're just going to put the hards on. We're going to refuel the car, and it'll be a case of away we go. Now, we did end up coming out in more rain, so a bit frustrating how the weather worked this time around at Le Mans. I've never had it where it sort of rains one time and then it'll rain again, and it always seemed to sort of appear after I came out the pit stop. So I was doing my tyre changes, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing rain and thinking, well, this could really mess my race up. So as you can see, I've come out of the pits and all of a sudden the rain's there. So it is what it is. It did start raining, and this was much heavier, not as broken up kind of all together and clustered. So it did start wetting the track. I made the call to stay out on the hards and do my full 2 stints. It didn't get to the point of needing wet tyres, however it did get to the point of needing inters. So again, I was kind of struggling around. I was going to plan on doing a stop and wait, because I knew the AI would have to pit, so they are going to pit at the end of the first sort of wet lap. I could see the weather was sort of moving away, so you know, I thought, yeah, maybe I can get away with this. Sadly, by the time we got back around, I didn't have enough of a gap on the AI to really stop and wait, so I did have to go and do an extra pit stop and basically do that extra lap. However, if you get quite lucky with the weather, you should be able to just sit and stop at the end of lap 6. But like myself here, I'm going to have to go and pit in and just do one more quick extra pit stop. I'm going to obviously refuel the car to full. I'm going to put a new set of tyres on just for the sake of it, and basically I'm going to run full max power for one more lap. I'm going to, you know, spread out my lead, and we're going to win by an absolute margin. Sadly, just going a bit over that 30 minutes, but that's kind of just how Le Mans is at times. So we're going to turn the engine up, and pretty much away we go. So it's going to be nice and easy all the way to the finish. As you can see, we're on the final lap now. A bunch of other cars did actually finish on the previous lap, however some got through, so it's pretty much lucky that I didn't, you know, decide to do and stop and wait, especially with the cars pitting a lap earlier. As you can see, we've got around about a 45-second lead, so again, straightforward. We did kind of get caught out with the wet weather, obviously staying out and the AI pitting onto inters, so they did get a better run on around about lap 5. However, at the end we just, you know, ran away with it really. So we're going to cross the line, easy money, easy drive. Just obviously the weather catching us out a little bit that time. So this is probably one of the more underappreciated cars in Gran Turismo 7, and these are the kind of cars I absolutely love finding tunes for and being able to run events with, because it gives you sort of a purpose to run these cars. And that's the main thing about this series. Like, yes, the Tomahawk's back currently, but sometimes it's nice to just go and have a more like sort of laid back race, and Le Mans really does give you the opportunity to do that with the amount of cars that you can run. I would sort of compare this to the Supra that we did previously. but sort of the road car version. It's very kind of laid back, not much in the way of tuning needed. Very good on its handling, not the best on top speed. And you can pretty much just kind of sit back, relax, and just, you know, grind away for half an hour and get paid very decently at the end. So that is going to be it for today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn those notifications on so you don't miss anything Gran Turismo 7. And I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers, guys. Peace.